guys, today I'm going to be making Hoppin from Gullah Geechee Home Cooking, recipes from the Matriarch of Edisto Island by Emily Meggett. Every recipe I've made out of this book has been an absolute winner. I've cooked from this book in a previous video in the macaroni and cheese, my favorite macaroni and cheese recipe. If you want Old South country cooking, pick up this book. You definitely want this one. And I say that as someone who's lived his entire life in the deep south of the United States. It's authentic, it's good. Hoppin is a rice dish that's also made with field peas, which are different from like English, the green peas. You can get dried field peas pretty easily off of the internet or at your local markets. I'm cooking with fresh field peas today because I happen to live in an area of the country with farmers that I can buy field peas from. But I'll include information about the timings required for dried field peas, and it's included in the recipe in the book as well. In addition to that, there are 3 kinds of pork in this dish. There's a lot of pork fat that gets cooked into this, and man, it makes it tasty and good. You've got salt pork, you've got smoked ham hocks, and you've got bacon. So, in your face, Lisa, all of these pork dishes come from the same magical animal. Yes, that's a Simpsons reference. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hop into the kitchen and get started with this. To get started making Hoppin, we're going to boil 2 smoked ham hocks, as well as a cup of diced onion. And then these are field peas. Unless you live in an area that grows field peas, you probably will have to get dried field peas. I happen to live near southern Georgia, and there was a local farmer that was selling fresh field peas, which I then saved for later. So we're gonna go ahead and boil those as well. If you're boiling dried field peas, this step can take up to an hour. You wanna get it to a boil, and then you're going to lower the heat to a simmer for about an hour. With fresh field peas, you just need to boil it long enough to infuse the flavor and get the beans soft. So that's going to be maybe a quarter of the time, maybe 15 minutes or so. Now, in a heavy-bottomed pot, we're going to cook about half a pound of bacon until it gets crispy. Batches at a time. We want the fat from the bacon to remain inside the pot, because we're going to use it later in the recipe. I've removed the crispy bacon from the pot, and now this is salt pork, so our third pork element for this dish. And we're just going to go ahead and saute this pork in the bacon fat and chop up some onions for the next step here. Now, with our salt pork simmering, we're going to add the remaining 2 cups of onions to this mixture. And we just want to get them nice and browned, absorb all that liquid that's in there right now. So this will take about another 5 minutes or so while the salt pork also continues to cook. This is coming along nicely. So the field peas are done, so we've drained that mixture. And now we're going to go ahead and return these peas to the main pot. And you can remove these ham hocks at this point. I'm going to leave them in just because they'll continue to infuse flavor over time. Obviously, they have bones in them, so you don't want to leave them in when you finally plate the dish. So at this point, we're going to add 3 cups of water. And this is going to be the water that the rice we're going to add later is going to absorb. I've also chopped up the crispy bacon that I made earlier, and at this point we're going to return that to the pot as well. This is Nature Seasons seasoning. It's used in a lot of the recipes in this particular cookbook. It's pretty easy to find, at least in southern grocery stores, but I'll put a link in the description in case you don't have it in your area if you want to try to make a dish like this or any of the others from this cookbook. But we're going to put about a teaspoon of that seasoning in there. And now we're going to return this entire mixture to a boil. This next part is entirely optional. It depends on if you like your food spicy or not, but you do want to add a little bit of crushed red pepper if you do like that little kick in your rice dishes. So I do. I'm half Mexican. I enjoy it. Now we're going to add 3 cups of rice. And we're going to mix all this up. And we're going to cover it, and we're going to let this cook until the rice has absorbed all of that liquid. Oh my God, guys, look at how beautiful this came out. This is real country food right here. This is just a classic Deep South recipe. And there's 3 different kinds of pork in here. The nature seasoning, full disclosure, I added an extra tablespoon of nature seasoning. The recipe says to adjust to your own taste, and I love things to have a lot of spice in them. So I added a little bit extra. So we're going to go ahead and get this plated up, and I'll meet you guys at the finale. Look at how beautiful this plated up. This actually, more than you might expect, has a lot of vibrancy to it, from those fresh field peas, giving it that sort of green-yellow pop. The light tan of the rice combined with the dark browns of the salt pork and the bacon. So to me, at least, it looks very visually appealing. I wouldn't recommend making this too often because it does have a lot of pork lard in it from the 3 different kinds of pork in this dish. And I can't imagine eating that all the time would be super healthy for your heart. But as a once-in-a-while treat, or something where you need to make a big meal for a lot of people and you don't have a ton of time, you can make this in a big Dutch oven. Try this out. This is really good. So, if you enjoyed this, please check out some of my other country videos, like my purple plum tart, chocolate chess pie, or succotash. And if you enjoy my content in general, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.